Hello and good evening to you all. I hope I've done this all right now. I had a few technical issues and I apologise for being late on the show. So for any of you that don't know who I am, my name's Lucia and I'm a member of Public Child Protection Wales. We have been campaigning fiercely against the RSE, or should I say the comprehensive sex education that is coming into our schools, not just in Wales, but all over the UK. So first of all, I can see a couple of names. Hi, Kerry. Thank you for watching. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Sharon. Nice to see you all. Thank you for joining me today. And also, I just got quite a bit to say actually with regards to what we've been up to as an organisation. We have been teaming up with quite a few other fantastic fighters, warriors as well. Namely, we were doing the protest. Well, it was actually Sandy Smith's protest. He and the other warriors came down from Scotland, Ireland and England. They all came down outside the Senedd and were raising awareness with regards to sexual abuse of children, in particular institutionalised sexual abuse. This huge problem, it's not historic. Obviously, the stories of our warriors that were speaking, well, most of, were historic. But this really isn't a historic issue. We know it still goes on today. It's rife and it really does need to stop. And by all our, survivors coming out, speaking out, this is the only way that we're going to be able to conquer this huge issue. And, a problem that can destroy, well, it does destroy lives. It's a really horrible thing. And, this sexual education where it's encouraging children to learn about inappropriate subjects, things that they're not emotionally ready for. It's really going to increase the problem rather than reduce it, which is what they keep claiming. They think that it is actually going to reduce these problems. So there's a lot to be said about this sex education, and none of it is good. So I just want to say a massive thank you to all the warriors that came down yesterday. And I want to just put a little clip at the beginning of this protest, because it was excellent. Alan Merritt did do a film of the entire protest. So that is on, well, it is on social media, it's on Facebook, so it's there to watch. But I just want to show you all this clip of our Scottish warriors coming in, and it's fantastic. So I'm just going to share this screen. Bear with me one moment. Share the screen. It lets me do this. Right, share. Right, can everybody see this screen?
No, they're too far.
Let me see. Did everyone see that then? I think you can see it. Yes, brilliant. Sorry, I've got to keep clicking between the screens. I'm not that advanced here. Okay, this is right at the start.
Last year, I had a dream. I wanted to bring warriors together. Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales. I wanted to see if this was possible. And in September the 26th last year, I stood at George Square, Glasgow. 4 days before my 70th birthday. And I looked out a happy man. 7 months later, we are here in Cardiff. It's an honour and a privilege to be standing here today, especially in Cyprus, in the back of me today. What's happening to our children today is a disgrace, and it's the people in these places that stay your kids suffer. Is there a way any further?
Okay, that was brilliant. It was such a great atmosphere when the when Sandy and the team all came in with their flags. Yeah, and it did really raise the vibration there. So that was great. Like obviously, it was a very serious protest, and there was some very, very serious messages and stories being said. But it is good to sort of like have that little bit of bit of lift up as well of the audience, and attracting people's attention as well. So I couldn't stop smiling then watching that. And what Sandy said then about having the dream of getting us all together, all sort of rising together and fighting together. And he did absolutely amazing putting this together. I'm certainly very, very proud of all the speakers. I had the honour as well. Sandy did ask me to be the compare. Is that what it's called when you speak between the speakers? So that was an absolute honour to be asked to do that. So thank you so much, Sandy, for that opportunity. So yeah, it was brilliant, really, really good. It went on. I can't even say how long it went on altogether. But we did raise awareness. We had lots of people coming up asking questions. Many people were interested as well in the RSC. We had a couple of people coming up and questioning why we are so against it, and I'm gonna move on to that a little bit later with a particular conversation I had, which was a little bit worrying actually, because it was a conversation with a teacher. But before I move on, I would actually like to give a mention to a very special man who sadly passed away a couple of days ago. His name is Roy. This was really sad news for us, for anyone who knew Roy or knows Roy and his family. They would know that he was such a very, what would you say? He had so much character. He was amazing, like really lovely. You know, everyone he met, he had so much knowledge about things. And you know, he was one of life's biggest warriors. He was a fighter. You know, he wanted to fight for people's freedom. He was a huge supporter of ours. Both him, Alison, and their girl were always, you know, they've always been supporting us right from the start, right behind, well, not behind us, they've been shoulder to shoulder next to us in our fight. So I just wanted to pay a bit a tribute to Roy with his sudden passing, and you know, we're all feeling really sad. And my thoughts are with his friends and family right now, and yeah, really, really sad. We actually heard about it the morning yesterday. So, you know, there was quite a bit of sadness amongst the PCP Wales girls. So very sad news, and condolences to Alison and your girl. So I would like to, yeah, just wanted to mention that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. Right, moving on. As most of you know, we've been doing a fundraiser because we are taking the Welsh Government to court. We've already raised, I think we're on about 14,500, maybe 15,000. We've got a load of money to put into the fundraiser. So, you know, the money is rising up, but we really do need to bump this up because we need to raise approximately 100,000 altogether. So for everyone that's already put money into our cause, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. For all of you that have been doing the fundraiser events with us and apart, you know, on your own, thank you so much. We really do appreciate everybody's support. Obviously, raising awareness is the biggest thing that's needed, but yeah, the money is needed as well in order to make sure that we can cover all the court fees and all the solicitor fees, etc. So we raised yesterday, because we did a raffle yesterday. We always do that at all our protests, and we did do a raffle. Some people were, you know, sort of buying tickets. Other people were just giving money, saying, you know, we want to just give some cash to the cause. And altogether, we raised £742. That's in one day. So we're really pleased with that. So I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone there. There was actually a gentleman who came up on, just because I was stood on the side of the stage, and he came up to me. Never met him before, and I missed his name. We had a nice conversation, but unfortunately, when I'm at these protests, it's really difficult to obtain all that information. You know, there's all these different names I'm hearing, and I do forget. I forget people's names anyway. I'm not very good with that. If I see his face, I'll know. But I want to say a massive thank you. He came up to me. I was on the side of the stage, and he gave me a wad of money. I think it was about £100. He just gave straight to me. He said he had a 7-year-old child and did not want his children learning about this. So he was really grateful for the work we're doing, which was lovely to hear. And yeah, it was brilliant. It was really nice to have, you know, just as someone who's never heard of us before, coming up and just donating such a large amount of money. We've also been overwhelmed by the generosity of the people in the Free Libertarians as well. They're a group that meet each month, and we've had a lot of funds from them as well. So I want to say a massive thank you to the Free Libertarians. It's been, yeah, you've been amazing as well. So we've got loads of people to thank. Actually, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, and most of you would have known that PCP Wales had made the media in the last, oh gosh, my brain is gone now. Was it Monday or the Monday before? I'm getting my weeks a little bit mixed up now. But recently we've come into the mainstream media, and it all started with the Daily Mail, where there was an article there saying that we're taking, that four mothers, it's actually four mothers and a dad, we are taking the Welsh Government to court with regards to this sex education. It's brought this how serious this is to the masses now, because before we were, kind of struggling a little bit on social media. We do get shadow banned a lot, and many people will only listen to information that's on the mainstream media. So the fact that we actually managed to get into the papers was brilliant. There's a lot of local papers that have also taken the story as well. So it's been a real success. It's been really good. We've had a lot of very good comments, a lot of support from people who are on the same mindset as us. Of course, we've got some people who disagree with us. We're always going to get that. We don't expect every single person to agree. There's still a lot of people that don't quite get what the RSC is, and they think that we're completely against sex education, which is not the case. It's actually, we're just against this sex education, which we know is come from a global rollout. There's evidence that our four governments, England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, all signed up to the WHO document, the WHO Sexuality Education, in March 2017. So there's overwhelming evidence that it's not, it's not as they're saying it's a Welsh education or it's a UK education. It's not that. It actually comes from the WHO and the United Nations, and it's actually comprehensive sex education. We've done, I can't say hours, I'd say sort of collectively decades of research into this. So we've looked into every single, the fors, the against, we've looked into it all. And it's very sinister education. And in fact, that's actually going to bring me on to a conversation I had with someone at the protest yesterday. So whilst one of the speakers was on, I had a man sort of just come up to me, and he asked me why I thought the RSE shouldn't be in the classrooms, and what is the RSE being in the classrooms to do with the awareness of sexual abuse. Because obviously this protest was about, it's Sandy's protest, and the main thing of this protest was raising awareness of sexual abuse, and obviously the stories of our survivors. I say our survivors because I feel like we're all a team, So, I just sort of like explained a few obvious things. If you've got children who have fallen victim to this, they're actually going to be in these classes, and this will be very traumatic for them. And also the fact that they are saying they're teaching children about consent. Now, children cannot consent. And it's almost, it's suggesting that it's up to the child whether they want to comply or not. I said our message is children cannot consent, and it should always be an empowering no. And it's not up to the children to safeguard themselves, it's up to the adults around them. Now, we've got a massive issue, I was going to say in this country, but it's not just in this country, it's worldwide, where too many adults are turning a blind eye. Too many adults don't believe when things are exposed or things come out, because the person who's been accused is something that we hear a lot, a man of good character or a woman of good character. They don't seem to understand that, these abusers and these groomers, they're not stupid people. They understand what they're doing. And to anyone that speaks to them and sees them, they come across as good people. So it's very, it's very concerning when there is a blind eye on something like this. So, sorry, moving on. These are some of the obvious reasons why this RSE shouldn't be in the classroom. And then I also touched on the fact that you're desensitizing children to sexual content. Now, a child learning about information they're not yet ready for is both it would be detrimental to them. It'll be detrimental to their development, because they're children. They shouldn't be learning about things like sex, sexuality. This thing about exploring their sexuality in primary school, very confusing. Extremely disturbing. How can a child of the age of 8 decide whether they're gay, straight, or bisexual? It's impossible. They don't understand. They don't feel sexual feelings. So it is impossible. So anyway, when I was speaking to this teacher, he really thought that the RSE would prevent sexual abuse, and he thinks that children have the right to have all this information. So it went sort of back and forth a little bit, and I explained about, well, what is your opinion on what's going on in the Scottish schools at the moment, and what is your opinion of the infamous All About Me schools that was actually scrapped for the high sexual content. And his opinion on that is that some teachers are getting it wrong. Now, I forgot to tell you that he told me, because first of all, when he first came up to me, I thought he was just a member of the public coming over and sort of just wanting to know, what our problem was. But actually, he was a teacher in England, and he was in charge of the RSE. And he was convinced that we were incorrect by saying that it sexualizes children. He said it doesn't. You don't know what you're talking about. So I had the same sort of thing that we get from people who disagree with us. So as we carry on this conversation, I mentioned about, he said there's nothing in the UK, it's nothing in the Welsh government curriculum that suggests about, this sexualization, that children are sexual from birth. He said there was nothing in there. Well, I said, well, check out the UNESCO and the WHO documents then. Well, what's that to do with it? And I said, well, they're actually... The RSE comes from the United Nations. They come from these documents. And although there was a bit of disagreement, his suggestion for this was to take UNESCO. Well, why don't you just, you should be suggesting just to take UNESCO out of it. He also suggested that all the bad things that have been coming into the press, such as the All About Me schools and the stuff that's going on in the Scottish curriculum, he suggested to me that it was the teachers getting it wrong, and it wasn't the RSE programme. And he said the only thing that should be done is perhaps it should be better explained. So anyway, this went on for quite a while. And in the end, I asked him, well, what is your opinion? Because he's a teacher now in charge of RSE. And I asked him, what is your opinion on the statement that children are sexual from birth? And he paused for a minute, and then he said, well, if you look at Freud's science or Freud's research, then actually they are. Now, for any of you that know Freud, Sigmund Freud, I think I'm saying that right, he did believe that children were sexual from birth. And in fact, his opinions on sex and sexuality are so incredibly perverted that it shouldn't even be spoken about in front of adults as an actual science. But now we've got a teacher that didn't disagree with Freud. So I asked, so you agree with Freud? You think that this sort of thing should be taught in the schools? And he said, no, not for the young children, but, at 15 and 16, that there's no reason why they shouldn't be learning about it. Now, Freud's opinions and views on sex and sexuality are so sinister that he actually believes in incest. He believes that baby boys want to go with the mother, baby girls want to go with the father. That's how sinister Freud's Freud's opinions are on the matter. So now we've got a teacher who is in charge of RSC who actually agree with these opinions, and doesn't think that it should. Sorry, I'm just getting a little bit sort of worked up about this because it was actually really upsetting. Just the thought that a teacher, in a position that's that's in charge of this, hugely important subject, actually referred to Freud as someone that should be listened to. Hang on 2 seconds. Go and tell that, okay? Sorry about that. I got interrupted. My daughter just walked in. Yeah, so it was interesting, but it was. I let him talk, see, and the reason I did let him have quite a bit of a talk to me because I was really interested in what his opinion was, especially when he said he was a teacher, and I wanted to see why he was so against this RSE and our reasons why we're really against this actually, and our reasons why we don't want it anywhere near the schools was, well, it was just there in black and white in that just one conversation. Oh, hello, Sandy. Hi, Sandy, how are you? I'm just going to unmute you if I can. Hang on 2 seconds. I can't hear you at all.
That's it. Hi.
Because you muted yourself. Sandy, how are you doing?
Not too bad. I heard you talking about that teacher. Well, after the event last night, myself, Alan Merton, a few others, went for a meal. And after that, we were waiting in a taxi, like. And Jane being Jane, she started a conversation. And this woman, she was a school teacher in a secondary school. And of course, we brought this, why we were in Wales, so we brought it up. And she was saying that she has never, ever heard about this being about this, what they're teaching the kids in schools. She's never heard of it.
Right.
So we're going, well, every school has
this is the thing, Sandy. This is the issue we've got.
Oh.
I think Sandy's paused now. Oh, is he coming back on? This is the problem we've got. Some teachers are saying they've never heard of it. Now, are you speaking about a teacher in Wales there? Apologies.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so in Wales, the deadline to make it mandatory for 3 to 11-year-olds is September 2022. But the secondary schools, they're getting it little bit by bit as so, year 8 will get it by September 23, year 9 will get it by September 24. So the only people in the comprehensive school that will be teaching it are the ones that are going to be teaching the younger class, which is the year 7. Now, we know, I think we've had this conversation at Kimberley and, our team. We believe that a lot of teachers now are going to be, after Easter, it's going to be a bit like the last minute Christmas shopping where they're all going to know about it and going to be trained up about it in this term now after the Easter holidays, which were already in this term. So, more teachers are going to be know about, because, like that teacher, I've spoken to teachers and they know nothing about it. And they keep referring to the current sex education or, the sex education that's been in schools for years and years. So, we do have an issue where there's a lot of people disagreeing with us for that reason. They're saying, well, we're in the schools. What are you on about? But, we know it's coming in because, well, it's everywhere, isn't it? We know, the documents are saying, well, we know it's coming to Scotland. We know how bad it is in Scotland. Now, in Scotland, I think you've had it there for about 4 years in total, haven't you? Because I know Richard Lucas has been speaking out about it now before we come on board.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Lucas is amazing. He's some guy with it. But we've had it for quite a while now up in Scotland. They're lowering the age of consent to 12 and they want it brought down to 8. That's what they're trying for now. So if Scotland gets it, the rest of you get it. And that's the way they're working, you know, because, I mean, well, as well know, Scotland, England, and Wales, they've all agreed to do this. This is compulsory for kids. And it was that fella, that school teacher yesterday you were speaking to when I come over. That's how I walked away. I was getting a wee bit angry because he thinks this is okay to teach kids at 3 years of ages because they've got to know early. No. Okay, I do agree. In secondary school, when people are doing that sense, let them know, yeah, hi. But there's a way of doing it. You don't need to teach them how to go into the internet. This is how you watch pornographic films and things like that. That's no.
It is no. And the other worrying, it's worrying as well because it's like they encourage it as well. They say it's perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with it, you know, and the teachers think, you know, the supporters of RSE think it's, you know, it's really important because, you know, we're telling them that it's unrealistic as well. But you're still telling them to watch it. Now, I know I'm 41 and I couldn't watch pornography without sort of being a bit, you know, it'd weigh on my brain a bit. Now, if we're encouraging this with children, it's really detrimental. It's going to damage their brains. They're going to have that. And, you know, children's brains are like sponges. They actually soak things up a lot more than us adults. Now, what is that going to do to a child's brain if they're watching something, you know? So it's just not right. It's not nice. And, you know, it shouldn't be. Now, a lot of people say, well, they're going to see it anyway. There's a lot of things online. It should not be that easily accessible. Where is the regulations against the porn industry? Where are the regulations against the film industry, the music industry? We've got all these idols, well, you know, children's idols. Now, when I was younger, my idol was Kylie Minogue. Before she got sort of a little bit, I remember when she did get a little bit sexualized, where she had like the little sort of like tiny shorts and, you know, sort of, you know, sort of showing her bum and that, and she did get very popular, I remember. But before that, she was like the girl next door, and I loved her when she was the girl next door, and she was a great role model for any child because she used to be, you know, it was very innocent that she had the relationship with Jason Donovan where it was love, they loved each other, and I really wanted to look like Kylie Minogue. I wanted to grow up. When I was older, I thought I was gonna, you know, sort of do something to my face so I could look just like her because I loved her. And, you know, it was a big sort of thing of mine. That's what I genuinely thought at 10 years old, that I wanted to look like her and be like her. Now, the problem we've got now with the idols that children are looking up to are extremely sexualized. They are so, like, you know, they don't think twice about sort of coming onto the stage, dressing extremely provocatively. Is not good. And the poor children are looking up to these idols. So if anything needs to be done, there must be regulations against these industries. But no one high up seems to care enough to put these in place. And, you know, that's where it needs to start. I'm not listening to all this nonsense about, well, they're going to see it anyway, so let's bring it into the classroom and we'll just talk about it anyway. No, that's not good enough for me. That's not protecting the children.
Yeah, because, you know, you were saying there when you were young with Kylie Minogue, you know, you wanted to be like that. And this is the thing with TV and things like that. Kids, they're watching this and they see this. And they're there, oh, Kylie's my hero, I want to be like that, and blah, blah, blah. And as you were talking about there, the way, especially when music industry is going, I could talk all day about that, but the way it's the music industry now is not like what it was way back in the 70s, 80s now. It's more selling records. You get programs on there like what do you call it, the X Factor and all that. Britain's Got Talent. See that? I would say, that especially with the X Factor, close up. Because everyone that comes on there, and they're, oh, you are amazing. You're going to be the next best thing. You're going to do it. Okay. What happens to them? You don't hear them. If they do, then they've got to agree to these terms, right? You need to get all made up, your hair all nice, and show your boobs, show your legs, show your ass, and whatnot. And this is the way it is. Then
Yeah.
kids are seeing this. That's their idol, and they want to be like that. Now, yesterday, Jane and I, we were standing outside the. Was it last night? Right, last night, we're waiting a taxi outside to go back down to the where we had the rally, and there were a young woman passed us, what's it, early 20s, and this young girl, I'd say she's about 8, maybe 10 at the oldest, and you want to see the way this child was dressed, the eyes and the makeup. I was like, Jesus, man. And this wee short frock on, and she'd done a black stockings, you could see the suspenders and all that, walking down the bloody street. Now, tonight again, outside the hotel, there was a young Chinese girl, say maybe she was about 15, 16, and these guys are standing outside the hotel, and I had to go to one of them. And he's, what he could do with her in his bed at night. He was, and I had a really good go. I brought him down to that, and his mates were like, you get in there. They're telling me, you get in there. Giving them dogs abuse, you know. I didn't call him a paedophile, but I was thinking that in the back of the head. But no, it does annoy me. You know, we're out there week after week campaigning. People don't know the actual what we do, what you and Kim and all that do behind the scenes. They think that, we come on here on a Sunday night and do a show and maybe go to a wee. There's a hell of a lot of work goes into us and researching that we do.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, yesterday I thought it was an amazing day. One of the best that I've done. I loved every minute of it. And the people, the guest speakers, everything was amazing. But I was a bit disappointed because when you see so many people on your site and they're all, you're brilliant, where are they when you need them out in the streets? Why do you not support? Because this is their kids. You know, I mean, money. That money should be flooding in. This is kids.
Yeah. Do you know, when we've gone to, like, you know, you go to these freedom marches and there's loads of people and you think, you know, when it comes to the children, where are they all? Where are all the crowds? Like, you know, yes, you know, we did have a relatively good turnout, but it was nowhere near as good as it should have been. We should have had the whole of Cardiff Bay filled up with people because, as you said, this is about your children. This is about your children's future. Even if you don't have children, you may have grandchildren, you may have nephews and nieces. Well, if you've got grandchildren, of course you've got children. Sorry, that's a silly thing to say. But you may not have young children. Your children may be grown up, but where are you? You know, you're going to have some grandchildren, nephews and nieces. What about your friends' children? And what about humanity? Why are people just so like, if it doesn't happen to them, they're not worried about it? Now, I sort of feel myself, you know, we all sort of like say we've got a purpose in life, and, you know, sometimes we work that out, you know, sort of earlier on than others. Some people never work it out. And I kind of come to the conclusion that my main purpose in life is leaving this world better than when I came into it. And as it stands, I'm failing miserably because this world is not, it's getting worse. And if this RSE or this CSE, I'm not going to call it RSE actually, I'm going to call it comprehensive sex education because that's what it is. If this comprehensive sex education is allowed to continue with no parental opt-out in Wales, so your parents don't even have a right over their children, you know, what their children are learning and what the sexual values of children for their children are going to be, then That's not my purpose, isn't being served. We need to get it out with the schools, because how are we going to protect the children from the inappropriate information online if it's in the schools anyway? And another thing as well, they don't teach the things online, it really does promote promiscuity, sexual freedom, do what you want, with whoever you want. It really promotes that. Now, if the school wanted to give a good education, it would really be out there contradicting everything they see online and saying, no, that's not the correct way. No, you should have better values, respect for yourself. You wait until you're in that long-term relationship before you start having sexual relations with someone. But no, it doesn't say that. And this is what's really frustrating. And this is another conversation I had with that teacher. I said to him, so me as a parent, I have 2 children. Do I have the right? Do you believe I have the right to raise my children with the same values as me? So that means I wouldn't want them to get involved in a sexual relationship until they are in a long-term, respectful, loving relationship. And he said, yeah, I did have the right. Okay, so how would I have the right if this education's in the school? And he said, well, you can homeschool. So I'm like, right, okay. So if I don't like the values that are instilled in this RSE, which is actually equal to sexual freedom, being with who you like, whenever you like, with whatever gender you want, etc., etc. If I don't agree with those values and they're telling me, well, you've got no choice, you'll have to homeschool. And I think that's absolutely disgusting, because it's our taxes. I pay tax, you pay tax, we all pay tax, whether it's sort of income tax, council tax, tax on your food, VAT, etc. We're all paying tax. Now, the council tax in particular, that goes towards the schools. So if we've all got to take our kids out of schools, can we stop paying the tax then, please? Because they're telling me that I can't, if I'm allowed to have my rights to instill the values I want to instill, I've got to take them out of school. Well, I shouldn't be paying the taxation then that actually goes towards the state schools. The schools are paid by us. They're not paid by anyone else. They're paid by the general public. It's our taxpayers' money that's paying for it. So we should have a say of what goes in those schools. And, the only people that seem to get a real say in this are the massive lobbyist groups. And it's these people with the extremist ideas, the extreme sexual. And then, they talk about sort of sexual orientation, and they want to talk about sexual orientation. Well, my concern is this massive blur between sexual orientation and sexual deviancy. There's this blur that it's almost like it's like these lobbyist groups want to just put it all under one banner. And then if anyone disagrees with any of these deviancies, you're all of a sudden, you're a phobic to them all. And this is why it's a huge problem, It's really, really stressing me out. I've got to say.
Yeah, the thing is as well with this, children who have been abused. We heard one grandmother talking about her grandson yesterday and what happened there. Now, this young child, he's going to learn about this again in the school.
Yeah.
That's going to destroy him. This kid was brutally abused. What happened to him? It breaks me every time I hear about it. This wee boy, he's going to be hearing about this. And there's his mother and that. They can't say, well, we don't want them to hear it. They've not got a choice. That's not allowed. They've got to hear it according to the governments. They've got to. This is things children's got to know and hear about. No, it's not. It's wrong. It's so wrong. Now, that teacher you were talking to yesterday, when I put him up about it, what happens? He goes, oh, we have got arrangements that the child, they'll be taken out, they'll not get it. Then, if you remember right, I goes to him, I goes, Yeah, but what happens then is that child is taken out. They're not allowed, or the parents don't want the child to go to that school. The next thing you've got social services and the police knocking at your door, taking your child off you because you're not. And what they say is you're not giving your child a proper education.
Yeah.
What education's that? And I mean, if you remember Richard Lucas, and it was with who was it? It was with that time, John Swinney and a few others. They were doing this live broadcast, the SNP, and they get into the event, and Richard Lucas got up and he was saying about this, the sex education in the school, what they're teaching the kids, about masturbation, oral sex, anal sex, and all that. And the woman that was conducting the meeting, I mean, honestly, I thought she was ready to take off, fly out the window, Oh, Neil, this is going out live. This is going out live. You cannot talk about this here.
Yeah.
And Richard turned around and told her, she goes, listen, we're all the adults in here. He goes, my point is, we're all adults in here. He goes, why can we not talk about it? If we can't talk about this in front of adults, why do you think it's right to teach children? I never got an answer to that.
Yeah, I know. I did see that. Exactly. And in fact, there was another, when Kimberly was on, I know a lot of you have seen Kimberly was on Jeremy Vine's show. Now, brilliant. She did an excellent talk there. She really conducted herself well and answered all the questions properly. Explained the reasons why we're so annoyed about this education. She represented Wales very well, I've got to say. Now, what I'm just going to say as well, the lady at the end was a caller from Scotland, and she was talking. She actually called in to say about the sex education, which is already in the Scottish schools. Now, before she went on air, she was warned there's certain things she couldn't say online, on air, because obviously, it's going out to the public and, it's on a Jeremy Vine show, it's on in the middle of the day. But the stuff that she was going to talk about is the stuff that they're teaching in schools.
Yeah.
So if you can teach it in schools to little children, you can't speak to it in front of like Jeremy Vine. It's not going to, I doubt you'll get any children watching that. It's going to be an adult audience. And they can't talk about these things in front of adults, yet they want a teacher to be teaching this. And it's not just the one teacher, because it's going to be embedded across the whole curriculum. They want all these teachers to be teaching our children about stuff that they can't even put on the TV. And that is really worrying. And, I know that Kimberly did mention about, on the Jeremy Vine show, she mentioned about the, there is, the sexual abuse statistics with teachers, abusing their pupils, etc. Now, they try to sort of poo-poo that. But that is a huge problem, because you don't know who's teaching your child. You don't know. And now they're going to be free to teach them about, the child's genitals, consenting, all types of sort of sexual activity. So all these teachers are going to be free to speak to the everyday child in the school classroom on these issues, but we don't really know who they are, So, it's bad enough that we our values may not align, but it's even worse that there could be predators in your children's schools. So, there's so many reasons why we can't have teachers just openly. And they're not they haven't got safeguarding training as well. I don't care what anyone says, because that was another thing this teacher said. He insisted that teachers have got safeguarding training. Now, if teachers were able to safeguard, then they wouldn't miss out on exposure that when children are actually disclosing abuse, because there's been a few silly things saying, children need to know the correct terms of their genitals, because teachers won't understand otherwise if they're disclosing abuse and they're talking about their genitals using different words, which is absolute nonsense, because if the teachers are properly safeguarded, they wouldn't need the child to tell them proper terms. They wouldn't need them to tell them the proper names of their genitals. They'll know, or at least they will ask another question if something seems a little bit off. But in fact, the safeguarding procedures is, well, to say that it's substandard or below standard is actually not good enough. It's actually so poor. The safeguarding is not in place anyway. So why are they insisting on children learning about correct terminology in order to safeguard themselves or to be able to disclose the what needs to be done? There needs to be a massive reform anyway. Teachers need to be educated properly. They need to be educated on people around them. They need to be educated on safeguarding children. Parents need to be educated. You know, when you have children, explain to parents that, you know, you don't leave your child with anyone. You know, those children can only be left with the people that you can explicitly trust. And, you know, there is this thing as well. Be careful who you trust. Do you trust anyone? I certainly wouldn't trust to leave my children, you know, when they were young. I wouldn't trust to leave them with anyone except my parents, you know, and my husband's parents. They didn't go, and, you know, my sister, they didn't go anywhere else, you know. So, you know, there's a lot of issues, and, you know, we've still got a lot of work to do. Yeah, Kimberly's just come on there saying don't trust everyone. Yeah, exactly. Sandy, I'm just going to go through a couple of comments here because I've had lots of people commenting, and I do like to say things. I've got Fahad on, and he's actually saying about the lesson plans issued to more than 240 schools across England. Sex education included children from ages 6 to 10. There was a section on touching myself. So that was the All About Me schools. Yeah, I've got Joan Ginsberg. She's a member of PCP Wales. Hi, Joan. Nice to see you here. She's saying about Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus. Look at the way her fans must have evolved. Schoolgirl to sexualized in one step. What did that do to a fan's head? So yeah, so that's another example there. We've got young girls who are in a innocent school program, you know, a children's program, a series, and then all of a sudden, you know, look at the way they went, you know, they're sort of dancing with nothing on, and, you know, they're quite happy to sort of be naked as well. And yeah, they're very sexualized on screen. So all of a sudden you've got all these young kids that loved Hannah Montana and all those children programs, and now they're seeing their idols becoming these extreme sexual people. So, you know, it's all there in the media to mess up with children's heads, isn't it? Let me see what else I've got here. Yeah, Britney went from the girl next door to a sex symbol overnight. That's Kimberly. Okay, so I've got welcome to my world. She's saying it is sickening. Yes, it certainly is. And then we've got Kira. Kira is saying there, have you heard of Oh Baby in reverse? Subliminal messages is in that. Says it all. So yeah, a lot of these music as well has got subliminal messages that's getting into people's children's psyche. Now, I don't know if you've seen it, Sandy, with the Disney. There's a picture of Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse, and Minnie Mouse, whoops, sorry, my lights just fell then.
You can still see it.
The body is actually in the shape of a penis. If you actually look at it properly, it looks like she's wearing a pink dress, but it's actually in a shape. And I never noticed it before until someone pointed it out. And it really does go to show the extent of this grooming children, doesn't it? You know, every child has Disney.
It's crazy, you know, it's like this as well, you know, they're children as young as 4. They can change their gender. You know, the wee boy can become a wee girl, vice versa. And they don't, they can go into school, they can go in as Eve and become Steve or vice versa. And they don't tell the parents, this is our wee secret. This is, I don't know, what the hell has happened to lessons in class? Science, maths. They're doing away with that.
I
And if you
know.
look at it, they're bringing it all in, even in PE, physical education in school. They're bringing sex into that. Every class, everything, every class, especially up here in Scotland, come to use through time. The children, when they're in class, they could be English, but there'll be sex brought into it. It could be PA, but I'm saying sex will be brought into it somewhere. That's sex education. Why drum that into children? Why drum it into them? Why are they not allowing the parents to have a choice? They're taking away everything from us. Everything.
Yeah, they are. And it's destroying the family unit as well, because, they're almost like saying, don't listen to your parents. Your parents won't. If your parents don't understand, we'll keep the secret here. Now, you don't tell any child to keep a secret from their parent.
Oh, no.
A young child should never, ever be encouraged to keep secrets, full stop. Like, I wouldn't, even when my child was 10, I wouldn't, like, if I was going to do a surprise party for my husband, I probably wouldn't tell her, because she'd probably just tell him by accident, because children do that, when they're little. So you never, and you wouldn't encourage them to keep. So when the schools are telling their children that they can be, telling little girls, if you want to be a boy, we'll keep it a secret in school. You don't have to tell your parents. That is a massive red flag, because they should never in a million years be told that. And the reason why they want to keep it from the parents is because a good, responsible parent wouldn't just say, oh, okay, that's fine. You want to change to a boy. Okay, we'll do everything we can now to make sure that can happen. No, a good, responsible parent would want to understand where it's come from. Why is the child feeling like this? Has somebody been putting things in their head? Are they feeling depressed for some other reason? And they think that that's the answer. They would want to understand. And, at the end of the day, children are children. They go through phases. My little girl from the age of 3 to 5 wanted to be a dog. She said, why can't I be a dog, Mum?
But there's a thing up here in Scotland, and it's for children 12, 13, 14. And they're giving them free bus passes, but they've got to fill in a survey. And on this survey, it's asking them, have you ever tried anal or oral? Have you ever tried vaginal, anal, or oral sex? What age were you when you tried this? Would you like to have tried it at a younger age? Did you wear a condom when you had it? You want to see the questions they're asking these kids?
Disgusting.
What the hell do they want to know that of a kid? Why? Why would you ask a child that? If you went out into the street with a clipboard and go, excuse me, can I ask your child a few questions? Right, that's good, thank you. And what age are you? 12, yes. Have you tried anal sex? Have you tried? You've been lynched. They'll have police at you, but yet they can do this in schools.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. And if they are doing it in schools, then to the child, it looks like it's acceptable then. They're acceptable questions. Because if they're doing it in the schools, then if someone online, a predator online, starts asking those questions, then they're going to think, well, I've answered it. I've answered it for a bus survey. I've answered it in the schools. Then, they think that they're just gonna sort of like think it's normal then, because this is what our governments are doing. Well, it's not just our governments, it's the worldwide, it's the WHO, the United Nations. They're just normalizing this type of language and this type of behavior. And it's got to stop. It has to stop. Yes. And, I know people have been fighting for years and years. Like we've had we've had so many legends, such as, you know, like in America, Judith Raceman, who passed away last year. I think it was last year. Miriam Grossman, you know, she's done a couple of books. We've got a lot of legends out there. And I'll call it, Sandy, you're a legend yourself as well. You know, there's a lot of legendary people out there who are fighting this cause. But we really, really need everybody to understand the dangers and all rise together. Now, a lot of people, a lot of adults, parents, they still, you know, they are a little bit like, oh, this transgenderism, you know, no, it's a no. They're not quite, you know, especially my age, they're not quite sort of like stuck in that sort of woke nuttiness, you know, although some are. So there's still a lot of people that know where we're coming from, but people are still not believing that it's going to come in until it's there, you know. And the Scottish parents have had a shock of their life, haven't they? You know, they really had to deal with a lot in the schools, and it shouldn't be there. It should not be there. How dare the SNP put that in the schools? How dare they?
Yeah, because if you ask people about this, you know, do you know about this, what your child's going to be learning? And you get a lot of people, they'll not do that to my kid. Yeah. Right, what are you going to do if they do? I'll not send them to school. Okay, you're not sending your kid. You'll have a no. Let them send the police to my door. Let them do this. This is the attitude people's got. Okay, send the police to my door. Send social services. I'll stand by my child. They'll not get my child. Don't talk crap. That's rubbish. Because when they come for your child, they will take your child. Don't let it go to that extent, guys. I mean, this is serious stuff. I mean, we're talking about here tonight. This is happening. It has happened.
Yeah.
That you come and take your child away. And when that child's taken away, they can be going to a life of hell. Believe me, this is what I'm trying to get people through it into their head. But people are too dumb. They don't think it's going to happen. It is going to happen. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's September. Your child is 3 years old, 3 years of age. You just can't understand that why anybody would teach a kid 3 years of age about masturbation. About it's okay to touch your wee brother and sister. That's okay. It's only playing, and it's lovely to do that. You don't teach a kid at 3-year-old things like that.
You shouldn't be teaching anyone things like that, let alone a 3-year-old. And this is what's so concerning about it all. Like, you know, when you hear teachers having these extreme opinions, like, you know, teachers are human beings. They can kind of do whatever they want in their private lives. I don't care. You know what? You know, like if they've got whatever, if they're into kink in the bedroom, that's fine. You know, just keep it away from our children. That's all. We do not need to know. I don't want to know about the you know, my neighbor's sex life, or, you know, the people down the caravan. I don't want to know about it. Your sex life is private to yourself. It should be between you and one other partner. I can't be dealing with all this, you know, multiple sort of like people in a relationship. No, it's between two people who love each other, and that's it. That's all. Leave the children out of it. Let the children develop in their own way. Now, even, you know, people sort of say, what about the gay children? Right, okay, well, if a child is to grow up to be gay, they should find that out themselves. Yeah. But the problem, what we've got now, is there's so much, and it's propaganda, there's so much stuff about, you know, the colourful flags, everything looks so bright and fun, and they're actually just being brainwashed into sort of like thinking that that is the way, you know, that looks fun, whereas being straight and being married in a serious relationship is boring. That is the message that is being brought out to children, and that's got to stop. Because if, you know, if a child, I was going to say, if a child is gay, they need to find out for them. They'll find that out for themselves. You know, as they've sort of gone through puberty, etc., they'll start to sort of get those feelings. But my fear is that all this sexualization and all this sort of propaganda going out there is actually getting children to think about their sexuality before they're even like 9 or 10. What are they talking about? They don't understand sexuality at that age because they just love their friends. So just leave them out of it. And, leave the children out of sex and sexuality. Let them discover themselves in their own way, and just keep them out of danger. That's the only thing. The only thing us adults have to do when it comes to sex and sexuality for younger children, the only thing we need to teach to make sure is that nobody is abusing them. That is all. No one touches you. And if you hear they're saying something a little bit funny, you stop and you listen. So that's all that's all that's needed on a level, a primary school level. They don't need to know the ins and outs of what people enjoy doing, sort of under the covers. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
I see a few comments here. When there's a large gay community, but it doesn't matter whether you're gay, what you are. I've got friends that's gay, boys, girls, and they're against that. No, why bring us into this? No. And it is true, they try to bring everything in to cover themselves up. Well, what about this and what about that? And they try to get us all fighting between ourselves, and it takes the pressure off them. Will this lockdown carry on? The things that it was passed during lockdown, you wouldn't believe it. You just wouldn't believe half the things that's been passed up here, especially in Scotland. And Nicola Sturgeon's, well, don't get me started on her.
Well, no, we'll be here all night, Sandy.
Yeah. No, I'm not a lover of her, I'll put it that way. But it's ridiculous, and the cover up they do, it's shocking. Just the way especially up here in Scotland, I know many, many, many good people, and bad things has happened. I was even threatened that if I keep speaking out about Nicola Sturgeon, believe them, bad things will happen to me. Look at Willie McCrea, and that was one thing that was mentioned. I lost it. I totally lost it. Willie McCrea was one of the best MPs ever in Scotland, and he was going to expose all the paedophiles up here in Scotland in the Scottish Parliament. And Willie McCrea was found shot dead. He was a brilliant man as well. And they wouldn't carry out an investigation into why. But according to them, Willie McCrea suffered from depression, shot himself twice through the neck, bullets coming out of the head, walked 100 yards after he blew his head off and burnt all the documents, and then went back to his car and threw the gun under the car. That's it. Case closed. That's what happened. And then I'm getting threatened by things like Willie McCrea could happen to me. Well, that's how I put out if anything does bad happen to me. You know who to blame. I've seen it happening to Robert Greene, another great warrior, the late Robert Greene. And that man, Jane and I think the world. It was Robert who gave us the courage to speak out. And Robert Greene was doing the Holy Greg case at the time. And he came up with Scotland. He got arrested, jailed, because he was speaking out. No, we don't want this to be known. And this is what's happening. Governments cover up. And this is what's happening just now. There's more coming out to this, believe me, with what they're going to teach your kids. Actually showing them blue movies in schools. Look at this. This is how you do this. I wouldn't even watch that now, and yet they want to teach kids this in primary school. This is primary school. That's just.
It's absolutely. It is. It's not. It's not appropriate. It's not. A lot of the teachings as well. Like we know, this thing about children are sexual from birth. Children can consent. Is not. You shouldn't even be teaching adults these statements because they're not true. They're not true. They come from the pseudoscience of Freud, that teachers always. I've actually heard a couple of teachers mention Freud, Alfred Kinsey. They're all very bad, twisted people who just happen to have these PhDs and that, and people were going along with it and believing it because they were you know, men who were of an you know, they had a high intellect. Now, just because someone's intelligent doesn't mean they're not a psycho. In fact, they're the worst type, because at least the people who are not that intelligent, they get caught out. They don't get, you know, they don't sort of get the airtime. There's another person as well which we strongly dislike. Well, we strongly hate, and that's Peter Thatchell. Now, I don't know if you know who Peter Thatchell is. He's someone who's campaigning for the for their sex education to be in all the schools, and parents should not have the right to take them out. And well, he's actually been seen on air, on live, saying that it's harmless to have sex with 9-year-olds. It's harmless for a 9-year-old to have sex, which is absolutely insane. Now, this man is endorsing the RSC, and he's allowed airtime. You know, it's getting really, really bad, and it's in plain sight as well. This is the bad thing; they're not even hiding it anymore. And where are the people? Where are all the parents? Why aren't you all outside the Senedd when we do these protests? Why are we still arguing with teachers about how wrong this is? I just don't understand the mentality of people. You know, if you can't see that this is damaging, if you can't see that statements such as, you know, that children can consent to sex from birth, if you can't see the dangers in that, and you don't realize that that is actually sinister, it's pedophilia, it's promoting pedophilia, if you can't understand that, then I just don't know. I just don't understand what's going through your brain. I really don't. It's frustrating. It is frustrating, Sandy, but you know, we are getting there. We are informing more and more people, but we still got a long way to go, unfortunately. Sandy, I'm so sorry. We are going to have to wrap this up now. I did want to, I don't know if you've got some last words to say before we do.
Just a quick one here. It was up here in Scotland, the Scottish National Party. The questions they want our kids to answer, that was put to them, and everyone refused to answer.
Really? They wouldn't answer.
They wouldn't answer. It's okay to ask for answer.
Yeah.
I'll leave you in that. It's your show. Carry on.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you so much, Sandy, for joining me, keeping me company and entertaining us all. And, you know, with your vast knowledge, brilliant. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I just want to say as well, our fundraiser is obviously still ongoing. If you visit our website, www.publicchildprotectionwales.org, you can access our fundraiser there. Please share it out. If you've got some fundraising ideas, then please get in touch with us. You can get in touch with us via our website or contact myself on social media. I'll answer your messages there. Really appreciate it if you've got some ideas. We have got a couple of musicians that are going to be doing a little bit of a show soon, so we'll keep you updated. And also, please subscribe to our website. If you subscribe to our website, we'll update you on all the events. If there's fundraising events happening, if there's protests happening, we'll let you know via email. So the emails won't be crazy. We're not going to be sending out emails all the time, just important updates. And, you know, if we put anything new there with regards to this court case. So, yeah, be the first to know about everything by subscribing to our website. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you all so much for watching. Really appreciate all your support. And yeah, we'll see you next week on Wake Up UK. And yeah, please check out our YouTube video, Public Child Protection Wales, as well, because we'll be putting some videos out on there as well. So thank you, Sandy, for joining. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a lovely Sunday night. Ciao for now.
Bye.